Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator. And, oh my gosh. Listen, there is just so much going on right now. I don't even know what exactly to talk about. I'd love to talk about three or four different things that are going on right now, but I'm going to have to pick one so I don't make this vlog extra long. Oh, by the way, sorry about this. I had to give blood yesterday, and for the first time in my entire life, I hate needles. Imagine that. And then I forgot whether she said to keep this thing on here for half a day or for 24 hours. Anyway, I'll probably end up taking it off before I go to bed because it's really sticky and it's hurting me. And why? Because my hemoglobin, red blood cells are too thick and the count is too high. It almost was too high to even give blood. But my endo doctor suggested I do it. Well, he gave me several choices and I picked having blood work done. And no, blood thinners is not an option. I can't remember the medical reason for that. I'm so terrible with medical terminology, medical anything. I can't even remember the name of my medications that I take half of the time. And if I go to the eye doctor, he starts babbling on all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, could you write it down? Because I need to go home and look it up. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so I want to talk about something, and I don't know what the title of this vlog is going to be, but I'll figure it out when I'm uploading it. Listen, I have said this in previous vlogs somewhere. I don't remember when. Could have been 2016. It could have been 2017. Heck, it could have even been this year. But what I want to say, and I don't know if I'm addressing this to binary trans men or non-binaries that do a lot of the same things that female to males do. So I'm just going to speak of it from the perspective of the binary. And what that is look, if you are pre-T, that is pre-testosterone, if you've never never worn a packer before, if you've never worn a binder before, testosterone is not a miracle drug. Binders and packers aren't going to solve all your problems. In fact, if you are a fucked up individual, and you know what, you have to figure that out for yourself. Nobody can tell you whether your thinking is screwed up, your emotions are screwed up, you got stinking thinking going on before you start tea, before you buy various products. People can see it, and the last person to see it is usually you. So if you're screwed up before you do all this stuff, you're going to be especially screwed up while you're on it and after you do it. And you're going to come off like a whiny-ass individual about every little freaking thing that happens in your life. Because let me tell you something about this steroid. And I don't know if this applies to people on low doses of testosterone T or not. I'm going to say T for short, so just know I'm talking about testosterone. But on I'll say normal dose of testosterone for men that are transitioning from female to male. This is just, it's not a miracle drug. It's not going to make all your insecurities disappear. It's not, it's going to intensify them. If you had a tendency, if you have tendencies of being a particular way, when you start this steroid and it starts changing you, because listen, as the estrogen in our blood is being replaced with testosterone. In other words, before you start, your estrogen is up here, your testosterone is down here somewhere. And what happens over a 6 month to 1 year period of time is it does this. Now, because there are little to no studies on us, and they're actually starting to do them because I participate in a lot of studies. But these studies, like every single one of them that I talk to, say it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 4 years for them to accumulate all the data that they're seeking and put it out to the medical industry. So nobody really understands the physiological, the psychological, the mental effects that testosterone has on female bodies. AFABs, assigned female at birth. And, you know, for various reasons, also some intersex people end up on testosterone. But I'm telling you, if this is why I believe so highly in therapy, and I know for a lot of reasons, trans men, and I'm not going to speak on trans women, I'm just talking trans men. Trans men do not take therapy seriously. I think, and this is just me, and who am I? You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm nobody that can affect the medical industry or anything like that. But if somebody can afford to be on testosterone, which, you know, a lot of insurance companies cover that, and a lot of insurance, if your insurance company covers testosterone, it's also going to cover therapy. But it seems to be such a taboo that I think it should be mandatory that at least for your first couple of years that you're on testosterone, that you are in therapy, talking about how this steroid is making you feel, the changes it's making you go through, what the heck you were being about before you started this this hormone. Because I see so many guys out of whack their first 6 months to a year as the estrogen, the testosterone starts to dominate the estrogen in your bloodstream. And they ain't talking to nobody. Listen, this goes into something that I talked about before, which was most of us, if we're adults right now, we were socialized as female. Now, if as you transition, you don't transition and you're an you're a female to male, and you don't re-socialize yourself as male, and this hormone gets a hold of your brain, you're going to be like walking around upside down with your feet up in the air and your head on the ground, because you ain't talking to nobody. You ain't got no male friends. You ain't got nobody that, you don't got no trans male friends that you can share how this hormone is affecting you. And in fact, a lot of them are in relationships when they start, and it ends up making their relationship go through extra changes because the only person that trans men is talking to or not talking to is their partner, their cisgender partner, who is also going through transition as you're going through transition. So everything gets all screwed up. And if you're not talking to somebody outside of that relationship, you're dumping all your shit on her, him, them, whatever. You're taking out, it's not like taking it out on them, but it's not very responsible to put the changes that are going to happen to you all on one person. I ran a group called Women Supporters of Trans Men. And those women in there, because they don't have the same kind of support system we do, they don't have 75 to 100 or more groups to hang out in, to talk about what is going on with them as their man transitions. They don't have that. So the group that I had, those women were talking about what, their fears, their insecurities, their concerns about what they're going through as you transition. And then some of them were just flat out being assholes about their trans man's transition. Or the trans man was being an asshole about what the woman was going to go through. But what that group did was try to bring everybody together to actually, the way I had it set up, the way I ran it, was to make the trans men to take a back seat to what the women were talking about in there, so that they could see how their transition was affecting their partner or their mother or their sister or their auntie or whoever was in that group that had a trans man as a relative or partner or friend, that they could talk about the effects that hormone was having on their spouse, their partner, their friend, their son, whatever. So I wanted to make this vlog because I'm just seeing a bunch of, first of all, in female to male groups, I'm just seeing some weak ass excuses of human beings running around on social media. They're not taking what they're going through seriously, and they're not taking what anybody else is going through seriously, and they're not talking to anybody. They're just knacking at each other, and there's no rationale going on behind how they're behaving, how they're feeling, what they're saying, what they're thinking, what changes they're going through. There is none of that kind of conversation really going on inside of most of the groups, 99% of the groups that I sit and observe. Not always do I say anything when I'm in those groups. Sometimes I do, most of the time I don't, because I'm observing. And I'm changing. I've been on testosterone for 2.5 years, and my mentality is still changing. But you know what? This entire time, I've been in therapy. And my first 6 months to a year on testosterone was absolutely awesome. It was bless-filled. I was like experiencing the high upon high upon high. I didn't have no complaints. I wasn't whining. The only thing I whined about was wanting to hurry up and get hair on my face and not to pass. It was so that I would stop getting misgendered in public. I was having a hard enough time with people who knew me from before, getting them to stop misgendering me, let alone everybody out there in the world. It was driving me crazy. So that is I didn't do it to pass as male. I'm already male. So I'm not sure what. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine last night, and we were talking about this passing business. And I bet you most of you that are watching this vlog have never heard this before unless you are black. And that is, and it even goes on Well, it doesn't go on to the intensity now as it used to, but it still goes on, that some black people are light enough to pass as white. And they do, to avoid the persecution that we get when we are darker skinned. We can't fucking pass for nothing other than being black. But there are black people who pass as white. And a lot of these white trans men be using that word, not thinking that there's a whole centuries of history around that term passing. But they're using it indiscriminately as though there's not something wrong with that when there is. It's like, if the only reason why you're on testosterone is to pass as male, do you think you're a female? I don't know. It's kind of deep what I'm thinking, that, and the lady I was talking to last night about this is a cisgender woman. And, you know, her thoughts on it was that, and I agreed and I disagreed, because I never went through that. I want to pass. Do I pass? Do I pass? I never went through that phase in my transition. All I wanted was not to be misgendered anymore, because that was driving me up the frickin' wall. That's what I wanted. Now, does that mean I pass as male, or I don't want to even deal with that word passing, because it has different implications. As a black man, as a black trans man, I don't want to pass for anything other than what I am, which is a man, which is black. I'm not interested in that word. But again, depending on who you are in this world, you got a completely different meaning of that word. But it sounds ridiculous to me when I see it. And in fact, it got so ridiculous that a lot of admins in the groups started saying, no, do I pass posts on Fuckerblood. Because it's annoying. It gets annoying. It's like, because, you know what? Half of those people, half of those men are just looking for validation. And I swear to God, 90% of them, 80% of them did not pass when everybody told them, yeah, you do. So it was an ego stroke, but it was a lie. Because I've been looking at their pic, and all these people talking about, yeah, you pass, when they don't. What is that doing to them? What is that lie doing to those trans men that are so desperate to pass as male, to tell them, yeah, you do, when they don't? See, what's going to happen is all these guys that are stroking their ego and telling them, yeah, you do, yeah, you do, yeah, you do, they're going to walk out their door, go someplace, and they're going to be misgendered, and then they're going to be wondering, well, hey, when I was in that group, 20 guys said, yeah, I do pass, but everybody out there in public says I don't. Everybody else out there is misgendering me. So what's going on? One more thing to be confused and upset about is this stroking their ego and telling them they pass when they don't. Pass is what? So, if people knew how much that went on in these groups, well, yeah, it went on ad nauseum, and a lot of the admins said, knock it off, stop doing that, because it's silly. So I just wanted to make this this vlog to let people know, don't be fucking with this hormone to test it, and you ain't ready to make a lifelong commitment to it. I got an inbox yesterday from a non-binary individual who was asking me questions. Actually, they, okay, I'm gonna blow it with the fucking pronouns. Asking whether a low dose of tea would create certain changes, and then they could go off tea after 6 months of being on it, and that it's a new fad, it's a new thing for non-binary people to toy with testosterone this way. They don't know what's going to change, and when they stop taking it, changes are going to revert. But there is no magic formula to that. You don't know what's going to change and stay, and you don't know what's going to revert if you stop taking this hormone. And I was like, oh no, don't play with this. Either you're ready for it or you're not. Don't monkey around with such a life-altering hormone as testosterone. I wish I could say don't play with this, even in low doses. Don't play with it, because you don't know what's going to happen. Not really. The changes are different for every person who takes it. Hell, your body may already be producing a high level of testosterone, and even at a low dose, it's going to cause certain things to happen, and certain things won't happen. Not everybody's voice drops. Not everybody, ends up with bigger feet, bigger hands, broader shoulders, taller. Their junk doesn't get big. Their chest doesn't shrink. I mean, you don't know what it's going to do, and you don't know what changes are not going to revert when you stop taking it. Nobody can tell you that. You'll find out, though, and then your emotions are going to be fucked up. When the estrogen starts doing this and the testosterone starts doing that, and then you stop, and it goes like this again, and then 3 months later or whatever, you start again, and it starts doing this again, and it stops, and it goes the other way. You're playing with fire. I don't know what non-binary people are up to, but I swear to God, they're playing with fire, because they don't know. This particular one wanted not to look so feminine, wanted to be androgynous. And I'm like, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen on a low dose. There's no guarantee that's going to happen at a normal dose. There's just no guarantees about nothing, because it's genetics. It's genetics coupled with your mentality, coupled with your emotions, coupled with your self-awareness, coupled with your maturity level, coupled with, look, physiological is physiological. It means all sorts of things can change inside of you. And excuse me. And so you don't really know until you go on it. And if you're just testing it out, that's crazy. Why would you test this shit out on yourself? Okay, well, I'm going to get off of that. All I really wanted to say is that this is really not the hormone to play with. And it's not a miracle drug. Getting a packer does not guarantee you won't have dysphoria anymore. Getting a binder does not guarantee you don't have dysphoria anymore. Getting top surgery does not guarantee you won't have dysphoria anymore. Getting bottom surgery, which there are 2 for female and males, does not guarantee you don't have dysphoria anymore. You understand? It don't guarantee that. I have seen that happen. Lots of times, especially on social media, where a female to male goes through all these changes, spends all that money doing this, doing that, and they weren't mentally and emotionally and maturely prepared. So whatever was going on before all that happened, it doesn't get fixed by having any of that stuff happen. Then there are some that it does. But I still say the ones where it rocks their world and makes them feel on top of the world, and it was exactly what they needed, and they feel great, they feel awesome, they changed their life. I still say those men were on some kind of a mental path before they had that stuff happen. They weren't looking to it to make everything all right. They were looking to those surgeries and all of these toys and prosthetics and all this stuff to make them feel comfortable in their body. Well, to help, not to make them. For the longest time, I was comfortable with not having top surgery. It took a particular incident, well, 2 incidences at the airport before I realized, I need to have top surgery. But I wasn't so desperate, and I'm still not so desperate, that I'll just run out and find any old surgeon and have this done. I looked all over the country and found who I wanted as surgeons. Unfortunately, they don't take the kind of insurance that I have. I'm a veteran. I'm disabled. So all I have is Medicare. But a lot of these surgeons out there that take Medicare or Medicaid or whatever, they're not very experienced. Their before and after pictures suck. And I'm just not going to allow myself to be so desperate that I'm just going to hurry up and become a test dummy for somebody. I'm not going to do it. I'd rather be uncomfortable knowing that, the wrong thing is going on up here than to run out and get a hack job, have to end up getting revisions. I am too fucking old. I don't think my body could handle all of that. Not at 60 years old. Maybe if I was 20, 25, 30, 35. Once I have this done, I want it done right the first time. And exactly what I want. I was telling my buddy that, as I look at a lot of these results of trans men's top surgery, that these surgeons are telling them where they're going to replace the nipples, and they're putting them in the wrong place. They don't look natural where they're putting them. They don't look like a cis male's chest. And I've seen hundreds of post-op results, and they're putting them down. They wait till they go under anesthesia, and then when they wake up, they find out they're in the wrong place. And once they take them off, resize them, and put them back on, I've never heard yet of a revision where it takes them back off and puts them back on where you really wanted them. So be very careful of your desperation level, folks. Don't be so desperate that you don't know exactly what the fuck's going to happen before you go under. And that if it doesn't look like, if they determine while you're under anesthesia that they're going to have to alter what they told you, to put it in writing, not to do the surgery, wake you up, don't do it. Don't have the wrong thing happen to you, because you're going to be unhappy as hell when you wake up. See, again, I think my age coupled with some I don't know. I don't want to sound like arrogant, but I'm just not going to make rash decisions when it comes to such body altering surgeries. I don't want no damn mistakes under the knife while I'm asleep. Whoever I find, I've already found a couple that I want, and they both work in the same office. But, before, and I'm going to make this real clear, that if it looks like they're going to have to deviate from what we talked about in the consultation, don't do the surgery. And I'm going to make it, they're going to have to sign off on that. I do not want mistakes. I do not want revisions. Then I'll be unhappy and have to live with that the rest of my life. But then I'll, the breast will be gone and replaced with something I don't like. What kind of trade-off is that? So, okay, I've talked long enough. I have a whole bunch of things I want to talk about, including, the state of the nation, all these things that are going on around the country, things that are going on in my own life regarding my book. They'll be for another vlog for another day. But it's Tuesday morning. I hope everybody has an awesome week. And the pollinator is out.